News about this coffee talk is I'm not actually going to be talking very much at all. I'm going to be introducing you folks to the Red Hawk family. I'm Ron McDaniel for the Kansas Horse Council, and they're so pleased to have brought clinicians, brought experts in the world of this equestrian profession that we love, and we've got the Red Hawk family that has joined us, and they're going to come and share with us some about their culture. Shane, if you get a chance, you guys, all of you, come back up here. They're going to do most of the talking, but I get a chance to visit with them for just a minute or two here. And so, Shane, we were talking just a few minutes ago. How many of you got to see the show last night? So several of you. Yeah, and give them a round of applause, right? That was really nice. So we've got Shane, we've got Tashina, we've got Michaela, and trying to hide down here is Noella. This is the Red Hawk family. I'm going to let you have that microphone, and we'll just pass that down. But Shane, if you would for a minute, just tell us a little bit about. I'm sure that everybody wants to come ask you questions about how you're adorned. And that's a deeply personal thing that we're talking about. Share a little bit about that with us, if you would.
Oh, thank you very much. Everything I have on, it's all handmade by all of us, and the things that we wear, we can't wear it unless we earned it. I was in the Navy. I understand what it takes to earn all your ribbons, your medals, and things. I think of it like that. This bonnet that I'm wearing on my head, it was put on me by one of our eldest chief and medicine men who's passed away a couple of years ago. And it was because of the things that I did in our spirituality, in our Lakota way of life. It's maintaining our traditions, our culture, and spirituality. And so it took a lot to get to the point where I could wear one feather, let alone an entire bonnet. I am a leader, so it all, it's something that I've earned. It's called regalia. It's not a costume. The things we're wearing very specific to us. And I mentioned, because my daughter mentioned it last night on horseback in front of you guys, but adornment, shapichia. Shapichia is to adorn or decorate. My mom and my grandma used to say, it doesn't matter if we have very little money, you still walk out presentable. You always brush your kids' hair. You always wash them. They look right. And she said, in addition to everything else, when you leave the house, you make sure you're dressed like you're going to walk home, because sometimes you will. And that's helps and blizzards and everything else. A lot of wisdom, a lot of experience in our elders. And so we hold them really high. But we hold our young people just as high, because they represent our future. They represent everything that we're going to be, literally. So we're leaving a lot of weight, a lot of responsibility on them. And so we're just not going to turn all those stories over to kids that are goofing off. We got to set them down and teach them, just like you all do. But we decorated our girls here. We put the best that we could on them and spent a lot of time with them. And because we do that, they interact with us. Because we do that, they come back and share with us all their issues, anything that's concerning them. Because we address them, we confront them, and we take care of them. We don't carry things into the future. And last night on horseback, I told you all that our warriors, they had to go do difficult things, whether it was fighting enemy tribes or if it was fighting the cavalry, it was protecting our homeland, it was protecting our women and our children. And so they would do difficult things, and then they had to come home and be a loving father to the kids, a loving husband to their wives. They had to be everything that the people needed them to be. And so we had our ceremonies to wipe off the difficulties. And I always wish that all the other people in this world, the other nations, had those ceremonies for our Vietnam vets, our World War II, our Iraqi vets, come back and wipe those things off so they don't carry anything. They're able to heal and they're able to walk forward in a good way. And we think about those things all the time, but the time we spend braiding our daughters, granddaughters' hair, we run our fingers through their hair, it's an interaction. But our hair is sacred, so we grow it long and we take care of it. I think of it as spiritual antennas, carries our memories, carries so much of the things that we need to be healthy and happy. And so when we take care of it in a good way, we put it away, we braid it, and we do those things. Again, it's interaction first and foremost. Then when our kids are facing something, they don't go look for answers elsewhere, they come back to us. And then we have to be the adults that we need. So yeah, that adornment, it's a heavy question. I always love that, speaking about these things for our health and welfare of our people and everybody.
Shane, I was so impressed last night, and those of you that didn't get to attend last night's show, you and your daughter spoke to us in your native tongue. And I got to tell you, as a father myself, I choke up seeing children that are interested enough in their family's heritage and legacy to learn and to carry it on and to humble themselves. And Sheena, talk to us about that. You know, I'm going to zing you with another question, but talk to us about what it means to carry this on for your family.
Yes, Mitakiapi, Chantewash, Denapi, Tuzapi. At this time, right before I answer your question, that's just what it is, and it's a legacy. And in order to keep our next generations alive and in the right direction, we have to encourage them and inspire them and give them their shot to shine. So at this time, I'd actually love for my niece, she's 11 years old now. Her name's Michaela Barob, and she's going to introduce herself in our Lakota language.
Matakiapi, Chanteosh, and Ape Chuzapi, Michaela Vero Bimachiapi, Honanaku Wibugawi Mie. Hello, I greet you with a good handshake and a good heart. My name is Michaela Barrow, and my Lakota name is Wegugawi, that means rainbow.
Hey, give her a round of applause, isn't that's probably more nerve-wracking dancing you're about to do, isn't it? Now, you did a great job. Tashina, I'm going to be a little bit selfish here. I was telling her earlier, I work for Merck Animal Health, and I get to work with horse vets all over the country, and we need more veterinarians who are going to come out and work on our horses. It's tougher and tougher to get. It's a demanding life for veterinarians, and so she shared with us last night that she's in a program that's preparing her to apply for vet school. And if you would, tell us, I'm always fascinated with any young person that decides, I want to go into the hard work, I want to go into the excruciating amount of education, the debt that comes with that. What made you want to become a veterinarian?
That's a great question that I could stand here for hours and hours with you guys. But to keep it simple, is that I grew up on a ranch. I had my first horse while I was still in the womb with my mom, and that's probably the first time I rode a horse. It was this big, giant, like 16 and a half hand paint that we named Kola. And he was my dad's horse, but he loved the women in his family. So that was kind of silly, but I've been barrel racing since I was 4, but all throughout my life, my parents have played a big role in passing down these teachings and these understandings and really helped me appreciate this Lakota way of life. And one thing is that I feel sometimes not everybody's able to help animals on the level that they want to. Our people aren't. And so the animals, the horses, the dogs, the buffalo, all are a crucial part to our way of life. The Lakotas were known as the Buffalo Nation because not only did we eat them, we also survived off of them by food and housing and some of our, our regalia. And so the Wamakashka, all of the animals are a huge part of who we are. And I feel like one way that I can give back to my culture is by helping heal those animals. And not only that, my parents really taught me a call to service and helping my community. And I was within like the Toys for Tots growing up and National, Honor Society. And we volunteer for our community and such. So I think another way too that I can help my community is by providing these services when the closest vet for me is an hour away. So vets are in high demand, and those animals are so sacred and so important to our people. And just in general, like who here can say a horse has helped them through an issue? My horse has heard so many stories. I may have struggled at school. I went home, I went outside, and I talked to my horse about it. You know why? They're beautiful listeners. They're not going to tell anybody, but also they're great healers. And because of that, I want to be a part of healing them too.
I would like to just wrap this up, Shane, by saying I was really impressed because you can see what a big, strong guy Shane is. A veteran in our armed forces, and when he told me that he and his wife were responsible for making the regalia that they have, that shows you both the fierceness of a warrior and the tenderness of a father and a grandpa. And what a pleasure to meet you. I would love to ask more questions, but you all out of seeing some beautiful dancing and hearing some other things. So you guys use that microphone. I'm gonna hang this one up and I'll step out of the way.
Mitakiapi, Chante Washtenapi, Chusapi, Noella Red Hockey, Machiapi, Honanaku, Wambly Wakawi, Mie. My name is Noella Red Hawk, which means, and my Lakota name is Wambly Wakawi, which is Holy Eagle Woman. And I have the honor and privilege of introducing all of my Tioshpe and my family. And we're going to be doing some drumming, singing, and dancing. And I'll just start off right now. Apologize if we get too loud. Is it too loud in the back? Okay, fantastic. And it's loud enough, then I'm assuming also then. So, all of us here are from South Dakota, and we're going to share some of our culture with you guys. And the reason why we're here with you guys this weekend is we were invited by Equine Fest because we have two-time world champion Appaloosa horses, and two-time world champion horse and rider regalia makers, or regalia riders, and best in show. And our horses come from the Heritage Appaloosa Ranch in Livingston, Montana, which have bloodline all the way back to our Chief Joseph descent horses. And these are huge horses. They're not your small horses and not anything to take lightly, but our culture has a lot to do with the Wamakashka, our animal nation. And so we're gonna be sharing the stories behind the different dances as each one of them come up to you. So you can see the relationship between Indigenous people, our Dakuakan, our universe, and just what brings us together as whole. In our Indigenous ways, we always practice by saying our Changleshka, our red, our white, our yellow, and black. So you'll see that in a lot of Indigenous artwork. You'll see that in a lot of Indigenous beadwork and regalias, because it represents the four nation of man, but it also represents the plant and the animal nations too. So that's why you see those medicine wheels, if those have ever been a question of yours. Lady, we are going to take some questions if you guys like to ask, and please feel free to ask us whatever you like. Shane and I have performed from Alaska all the way down to South America, universities to individual school conferences. And what's so great about today, and I think one of the reasons why I'm a little emotional today, is because the last time we actually performed with Tashina on stage in this specific style of dress, she was 4 years old. So it's gotta be. But Tashina is our 2022-23 Miss Indian World. So let's give her. So I'm really glad that we actually got her. She flew here from DC to be with us this weekend. So anyways, and a full-time vet student, yeah. But the first dancer we're going to have, the first song we're actually going to sing is very traditional, and Dad's already getting sentimental, so I can't look at him at all. But so kind of hard to miss up there, right? So the first song we're going to sing for you is very traditional. As Indigenous people, whenever we come together as a nation, we always pay homage. We always pay respect to our flag. A long time ago, there was many battles and many wars that were won and fought over this flag. And people question, why is it the Indigenous people are one of the highest minorities in our armed forces? And that's because of our patriotism. This land will forever be ours, and we will forever protect it. Under that flag, our people will grow. The song that's the Lakota national anthem that we sing at all of our events was written on my family's property in South Dakota. There was a medicine man who lived on the property who was married to actually Shane's grandma, and I'm going to have him just share a brief story with you on that.
This man's name was Ellis Chips. He's the grandson of one of our famous medicine men who made crazy horses Wokawe, or his battlefield medicine, and his name was Woktuha, or Horn Chips. And so Ellis Chips is actually the son of the man who was married to my great grandmother. And Ellis, he was visiting his sister when she got a telegram from the army saying that her husband had been killed in World War I. And he saw her grief. He walked outside and the melody came to him and the words came to him. And in our language, it says, the grandfather's flag, they called the president the grandfather. They said, the grandfather's flag will stand forever. It'll stand without end. Under it, the people will grow. We didn't want to just live, or survive, we wanted to flourish. And we knew that things are the way they are now, so they wanted to continue. And that's all part of the purpose why our people give so much in our armed forces. And they did tell us that we are the highest number per capita in the military.
So with that, at this time, the proud red, white, and blue is also our flag. And so we want to sing for you and expose you guys to the Lakota national anthem. She threw me off. Thank you. So I'm going to share with you what just happened. So here's what we call an ichabu. This is a drumstick and it's a woman singing, right? That was me. But when your children grow, you hope that you've raised them and loved them enough to where they could fill your moccasins. These ones have. And so I'm really super proud of these ones. She threw me off. She just took me to a whole nother level, but she's been traveling the country singing a lot lately. But yeah, so that's what just happened there. But it's a proud mom moment. I'm not like upset at all. I'm just thinking, wow. All right. So this second song that we always sing, and it's very traditional, it's very accustomed. You always put it behind your flag song. As an Indigenous person, we fought and we died for this country, and we will continue to fight and die for this country. We're very patriotic people because this land is where our dead are buried. This land is what we descend from. We come from this earth here. And so we're very proud of our nation, and we're proud of our Chongleshka, our people. And it takes all walks of life, all people coming together in one great nation for all of us to survive and to defend this freedom that we have. And so we just don't honor these individuals on designated holidays. I can guarantee you, as of today, right this very minute, all over the country, one of these songs that we're about to sing for you is being sung. And it's called a Veterans Honoring Song. Because them men, women, and children didn't just wake up and say, I'm going to defend my country today and then I'm going to go home tomorrow. Because a lot of them didn't come home. And so we don't just reserve the right to honor them one designated day of the year, but every day of our lives. We sing and we honor them. And so we're going to do that today as we would any other place. This is your Veterans Honoring Song. Yeah, Kathleen, go ahead. All right, so I'm gonna have Shane translate this one first. He has always been my song holder, and then I've always been like the singer. So I'm Chea Napape is what some of the words in the song are.
The song says, they're crying, run away. They're crying, run away. The long knives must not have any men because they're crying, run away. This song's talking about the bravery of our men. We rode our horses 180 miles an hour, whipping them and right into meet the enemy. And any one of you men in here would do that. Any one of you mothers would do that. We would keep an enemy away from touching your kids, your family. And that's what this song is talking about, is those that are willing to give everything. When we, as Lakota, we akisha, the men say, ah, it's a war whoop, we scream at our loudest. That's telling everybody and everything, we're coming. It doesn't matter, we leave everything out on the battlefield, we give everything for it. And then, so that's what the song says, but it was composed after Little Bighorn when Colonel Custer and 7th Cavalry attacked our people, they hurt our women and our children. So our men ran with everything to provide a. And I always tell my own people, there was a time when we stood side by side and we eliminated an enemy off the face of the earth. I want my people to stand back up like that again. I want them to put away any dysfunction and be the men that our people need them to be. Those are the reasons why we do the things we do, dress like we do, and sing the songs that we do.
Thank you. I don't think I sang this song for Chick-fil-A either. But again, these songs originated back in the 1800s, 1900s, were written after certain events, and just growing up as an Indigenous woman, you just carry these songs and you just pass them on. All of our traditions are oral traditions, and so we really hold them in high regards, and they have very sentimental meanings to us also. So this first dance that we're going to bring out is what we call our jingle dress dance, and there's one of my relatives right there. And so this first dancer we're going to bring out is our jingle dress dancer. And again, the last time I seen Tashina in a jingle dress dance, she was 4 years old. So I'm going to try not to look at her when she's dancing. But her regalia right there actually is an origin of the Ojibwe people. And in our powwows, in our traditions, we do a lot of trading. And usually, even like when we have relatives and we make relatives, we take on different attributes and things that strengthen our nations. And so our dance styles have also been traded. And the story that was gifted to me was there was a grandma whose granddaughter was very sick. And she asked our Tankashilas for something that she can do for her in a wochekia, in a prayer. And in that, she heard beautiful sounds and dancing and movement. And she took that dream and she incorporated this dress style because the Copenhagen cones carry a form of tobacco. And as Indigenous people, our tobacco is what we use for our prayers. Our prayers are carried and then they come through the bottom of the cones and then like smoke, it rises. And then they'll take their eagle's tail and they would spread those prayers all over the world for healing. And so when this grandma made this dress with 365 cones, which represent a prayer for every day of the year, and she did this style, her granddaughter was healed. And that's the story that was gifted to me for the prayer dress, and this is a jingle dress. So what Tashina's wearing is her moccasins and leggings, which her designs come from her beaded, all of her beaded accessories. She has her golden eagle tail, immature. And then she has her breastplate and then just an old school style neck cloth. And then the type of dress we use, material is a calico, which is an old school type dress. Her beaded belt, her dad made for her. And so we're going to sing for her a song. And I think you'll enjoy this beautiful sound of these cones also.
She planned on, so she gave you a quarter of one song that's called one push-up. She planned on giving you a half of a song, just 2 push-ups. But like she said, last time Tashina was in a jingle dress when she was 4. And there was actually a time she danced Fancy Shawl. And she was on the stage in front of thousands of people. And she stepped on her shawl and fell down. And she stood up. She looked at us. The little tears were welling up. And the professional that she's always been, she finished her song. And it's all been very difficult. It's like we cherish them that much, and you see them do beautiful things. It's just most uplifting things. Like I mentioned last night, writing in front of people, sharing our culture, sharing our stories and our legacy. These are centuries old stories. Some of these designs and things, the ancient, and doing beside my daughter, knowing my legacy is intact. Our grandmother's legacies are intact. And, our Takoja too, our granddaughter here, these are the answers to the prayers of our ancestors. They hope that we would still be alive and well today. With everything that had happened in the past, we're still here and we're thriving and we're living. We're trying to maintain everything. We still represent only like a percent of the entire US population, but it's a powerful percent.
All right. Had to collect myself. Anyways, this next answer is my Takoja. I have one, and Takoja means granddaughter. And something I would never do is address her by her name because it's a form of like disrespect to her because she's closer to me. It's an endearment. So she's my Takoja. And there's a lot of our words that don't have English words, and there's a lot of our words that have multiple English meanings. It just depends on how we collect them and put them together and the situations. And so this is my only Takoja. And she's from the Sichungu Nation, but she's also Ogallala from Pine Ridge. So she has both. So her last name is Bear Robe. And so she's dancing in what we call a women's northern traditional stationary cloth dress. And actually the material that's on that dress is called the Battle of Little Bighorn, which was one of our fights. But her regalia is all made by her tui. Her auntie made everything that she's wearing, all the beadwork in that. And her plume, the feather on top of her head comes from underneath an eagle's tail. Those are female. And so only our females wear those type of plumes on their head. And then her necklace and choker, her necklace itself, the elk teeth, we adorn our girls with the elk teeth because it shows that she has a good provider in her family, that her grandpa provides for her. And so whenever you see elk teeth on young ladies, that's what the symbolism is. So they all have specific meanings, each piece of her regalia, all the way down to her drops. But that's probably the most substantial at this point. But a long time ago, and still today, our women don't dance on the powwow circle like you see your Omaha, your Winnebago, people in this area where the women will walk on the floor. Our women don't. They don't because our circles are very sacred to us. And there's a place in the circle for us. And that place is on this side where we can watch over our children playing in the center. And our men will dance behind us because they're protecting us. So in Lakota country, the men dance opposite of the women because it's like a buffalo bull. If you've ever sat and watched a buffalo in a field, all of the patet, the cows will be in the center and the bulls stand on the outside because that's his line of defense. That's his protection. And that's the same thing as the Lakota because they descend from the patet, Gleshka, the buffalo, the Tatanka Oyate. And so she'll dance stationary in one place, just graceful going back and forth. So graceful and beauty is what she emulates. And we're a traditional family, which is why she dances this style. All right, so Shashina's singing one of our oldest Lakota woman song from the Rosebud tribe, and then Shane's going to translate it too. So you guys are getting some really historical songs here today because we're digging in that book. And women don't drum either, guys. They don't, but I'm drumming today. I don't know why. Okay.
Almost loves this. So the song, it says, Lakota Lakota woman, your spirit is wise. From you, the generations come. The people are calling on you. It's a tough song. So appropriate for that style. And long ago, when the men came back from battle, the dads, the uncles, I always say that it wasn't the military coming back from battle. It was family members. It was heads of households. It was the uncles, the big brothers. They were coming back. And when they came back, after putting everything on the line, and they sang their songs, as the time where the men got to get in the middle and tell their stories. They said we could never brag about ourselves. We could show it in our beadwork, and we can tell our stories in our dance styles. And the women, out of honor and pride, they stood on the side in a circle and they danced. And in some of our oldest songs, our Ipsicha, our women dance, and they're so proud to dance. They get off the ground. They get way up off the ground, but they hold their uncle's things, their cool sticks, their war honors, and those women dance with it, and they really. So you see all the pride, the love, and things that are emulated by our women traditional dance style. And what an appropriate song, because the women in our families, in our Lakota way of life, they are the generation makers. They're the life givers. They are so important. I always tell our young women, if you want to be equal, if you want equal rights in our Lakota way of life, if you're up here and you want equal rights, why do you want to be down here with us? You know, my daughter's, she's up in the stars to me. Never be my equal, because she's so much more than that.
All right, and I want to acknowledge my relative too, because he's in the room. Who did I refer to him as last night? Who was that guy? From the radio station? The rest of the story. Oh, Paul Harvey, okay. We have one of my relatives here. So I was sharing to you, earlier about, our animal nation and, our jingle dress and how it originated with our Ojibwe people and how we would barter and we would trade. One of the things we did as Indigenous people in our Chonglishkas, our circles, is amongst different tribes or amongst different families in our communities, we would hunka them. And we would hunka. What hunka means is making a relative of. Because you can't pick who you're born into, but you could pick who you're a relative of. And so we did that as nations. And that's why you see a lot of integration in the 1900s of different tribal nations and people, is because we would hunka them. So if you had an attribute that my family was lacking, I would hunka you. I'd make you a relative to strengthen my family. And that's still practiced. That ceremony is still practiced today. It's still honored today. And so I have a relative here of mine that I just want to acknowledge him because he's done great things with his life. He's like, I was joking at dinner last night, he's like the Indian Paul Harvey. Because when he talks, everybody knows his voice and he's known throughout the world. And I was really honored that we got to perform last night. His sons were the horse dancers, which were amazing, but I called them my nephews. And that's because his auntie is my mom. My mom is Mary Underwood. And she was a well-known beater and well-known moccasin maker. And when I was putting my moccasins on today, I was really honored, and I thought about him because these moccasins are over 30 years old, and my mom, Mary Underwood, made these, and she gave these to me. And I had told him one time about them, that I had them, and that I wanted to show him, but I didn't think he was gonna be here today, and he's here, so I want to acknowledge my relative in that way, and just show my respect for him, Reuben Littlehead, and given from the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. A good family man. Good family man. And so this next one we're gonna do a song called The Duck and Dive. And this song right here we chose because of the wapaha, what Shane has on his head. It's a battle song and it talks about going into battle. And then when the guns are being shot at them, he will actually duck. Yeah, and so at this time, we're gonna have Tashina talk about his dance style and his regalia.
So the reason that brought to mind that I want to talk a little bit about his dance style is because she said the wapaha on his head and how he used to duck and all of that. One grand celebration of ours, the Rosebud Sioux Tribe powwow, started back when we defeated General Custer in the Battle of the Little Bighorn, which I believe was June of 1876. And our warriors all came back and rounded up and started dancing this men's traditional style. And that was in celebration of what had taken place. And that's when our community's powwow started. And so this is one of the oldest styles for the Lakotas. The women's traditional and the men's traditional are our two oldest styles. And so him as a chief with that bonnet, you may see the traditional way of men's traditional is wearing a mussel, but he doesn't have one today because he's doing a chief stance. But you can see the leggings and the moccasins. But also what I like to point out is his otter sash with that buffalo rope coiled up. Some of our greatest chiefs, what they would do when the cavalry were running over the hill or trying to come attack us, they'd take off that sash and they'd stab it and place it in the ground and say, if you want me, come get me. I ain't moving. You're not removing me from my oyate. And so that's something that I love about his regalia. And then also the breastplate that you notice in front. Being where we are with the EcoFest, is that to tie back to animals and like the Wamakoshka Oyate and the Tatanka is that the Lakota people are also known as the Buffalo Nation. And so that breastplate that he's wearing with those bones replicate a buffalo's rib cage. And so there are many, many things that we could be saying about his regalia. Like the fact that we're singing this song and he's carrying a cavalry sword. that would kind of represent that he took out an old soldier, took his sword and adorned it in our own way. And I think he'd be like my two greats. My three great grandpa, Good Voice, has this old, beautiful black and white picture where he's sitting there and he has a cavalry sword placed right in front of him. So there's many different things that we could pick apart and that you could really look at. And if you have questions later, I'm sure we could stick around a little, take some pictures. But for now, we'd like to showcase the men's traditional dance. I'll try to sing.
So that's going to conclude our dancing today. It's been an honor for us to be here at Equine Fest. We are going to be available for some questions and answers, pictures if you like. And again, there's no one question. So instead of doing it in a public forum, we can actually do it, personal one-on-one if you like. But we're just so honored to be here, and thank you for having us. Thank you for allowing us to share our culture and our stories.